Florida, 1984. A place where the sun seemed to shine brighter, where the air was thick with the scent of orange blossoms and salt from the Gulf. It was a state that promised new beginnings, a haven for families, retirees, and dreamers alike. The palm trees swayed gently in the warm breeze, and the days stretched long into golden evenings. The Sunshine State, beaches, dreams, endless summer. Children built sandcastles, couples strolled along the shore, and laughter echoed over the waves. It was a postcard-perfect paradise, the kind of place people moved to for a better life. But that year a shadow crept into Tampa Bay's quiet suburbs. It was subtle at first, a feeling that something was off, a chill that lingered even in the heat. Fear whispered through the humid nights, something was terribly wrong. The darkness seemed to press closer, and the familiar became strange. People went about their lives locking doors, believing they were safe. Parents double-checked windows, neighbors exchanged uneasy glances, and the sense of community began to fray. But safety was an illusion. The routines that once brought comfort now felt like rituals against an unseen threat. A predator was on the move, someone you'd never suspect. He blended in, a ghost among the living, slipping through the cracks of everyday life. A neighbor, a friend, the man in the grocery store aisle. He could be anyone, anywhere, hiding in plain sight. The realization sent shivers through the community. The first signs were subtle, unsettling news reports. A woman attacked, another missing. Whispers grew louder, and the media began to take notice. Then, bodies began to appear. The horror was no longer just rumor, it was real, and it was close. The sunny image of Tampa Bay cracked, terror pulling people under. The city's spirit was tested as fear seeped into every corner. Headlines screamed, "Classified ad rapist." The words were chilling, echoing through households and sending shockwaves through the community. The hunt for a killer. Police bulletins, news anchors, and radio hosts all repeated the same urgent message: be vigilant, trust no one. The fear was the same. It didn't matter who you were, everyone felt it. Families huddled together, curtains drawn tight, waiting for dawn. People stayed inside after dark. The once bustling streets emptied, and silence settled over the neighborhoods. Every unfamiliar car became a threat. Every stranger was a potential suspect. Trust, once abundant, was now in short supply. The community was on edge, breath held in suspense. Who was he? Neighbors gathered in whispered meetings, desperate for answers. Where would he strike next? The question haunted every parent, every child, every sleepless night. The police worked tirelessly, but the man they hunted was a ghost. Smart, careful, merciless. He left few clues, always staying one step ahead. For 8 months, Tampa Bay was gripped by dread. Each day felt longer than the last, each night more suffocating. The sun still shone, but for many the world had become cold and dark. The sense of safety that once defined the suburbs was gone. The nightmare had only just begun. In the heart of paradise, a darkness had taken root, and no one knew when or if the light would return. The attacks weren't random, they were calculated, methodical. A chilling pattern emerged, one that sent a ripple of fear through the city. Each crime scene told a story of careful planning, of a predator who studied his prey and struck with terrifying precision. The police at first struggled to connect the dots, but soon the similarities became impossible to ignore. He targeted women through classified ads, selling a TV, a vacuum, anything. The ads were a lure, a way to find victims who were alone, vulnerable, and unsuspecting. Each listing was an opportunity, and he exploited them with chilling efficiency, blending into the everyday routines of his targets. He'd call, arrange a meeting, and then strike. The voice on the other end of the line seemed harmless, even polite. But behind that calm tone was a man with a sinister plan, waiting for the perfect moment to attack. He turned the safety of home into a trap, binding his victims with intricate knots, assaulting them for hours. The details were horrifying. He used ropes and bindings with a disturbing expertise, leaving behind physical and emotional scars that would never fully heal. Some survived, scarred forever, haunted by memories they could never escape. Others vanished, forced into his car, driven to remote places, murdered. The darkness of the night concealed his crimes, and the isolation of the locations made it nearly impossible for anyone to intervene or help. The killer was escalating. Assault was no longer enough. Now, he needed to kill. Each new attack was more violent, more brazen, as if he was daring the police to catch him. Bodies were found discarded, the manner always the same. The signature of his crimes became unmistakable, each victim left behind as a grim message to the city. He used them, then threw them away. To him, they were disposable, mere objects in his twisted game. The brutality of his actions shocked even the most seasoned investigators. Each new discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Fear spread quickly, no one felt safe, and rumors of the killer's next move were on everyone's lips. The list of victims grew. With every new name, the sense of dread deepened, and the urgency to stop him intensified. The pattern was relentless, a monster methodically working his way through Tampa Bay. The city was gripped by terror, and the police raced against time, desperate to end the nightmare. The terror had a name, even if they didn't know it yet: Bobby Joe Long. His reign of fear was just beginning, and the city would never be the same. Who was Bobby Joe Long? To some, he was just a name in the news, a face in a faded photograph, but behind those eyes was a story few could imagine, a story of darkness hidden in plain sight. To the world, he was unremarkable, a married X-ray technician, quiet, even gentle. He lived in the suburbs, went to work each day, and came home to a family who believed they knew him. Neighbors described him as polite, even friendly, the kind of man who would help carry groceries or wave from his driveway. He wore a mask of normalcy, blending in perfectly. No one suspected the storm brewing beneath his calm exterior. He was invisible in plain sight, a shadow among the living. But beneath, a different story brewed. Long's childhood was troubled. He grew up in a fractured home, often feeling isolated and misunderstood. The seeds of pain were planted early. A head injury led to a condition that made him feel different, bullied, ashamed. He struggled to fit in, his sense of self fractured by trauma and rejection. The world seemed to turn its back on him, and he withdrew further into himself. That shame twisted into rage and hatred, especially toward women. His relationships failed. He lashed out at those closest to him, unable to escape the anger that simmered just beneath the surface. The pain of his past became a weapon he turned on the world. He saw women as adversaries, not partners. Each failed relationship deepened his resentment, fueling a dangerous obsession. He began to see himself as a victim, justifying the darkness growing inside him. By day he was Bobby, the technician. He wore his uniform like armor, hiding his true self behind a professional smile. No one at the hospital suspected the double life he led. By night, a predator, hunting through classified ads. He stalked his victims with chilling patience, using the anonymity of the night to mask his intentions. Each call, each meeting, was carefully planned. The crimes were his way to reclaim power and control, a twisted revenge. Each act was a message to the world that had hurt him, a way to rewrite his story, if only for a moment. In those moments he was no longer the bullied boy, he was in control, holding life and death in his hands. The fear he once felt, he now inflicted on others, relishing the sense of dominance. The mask hid a monster born of pain and hatred. The world saw only the surface, never suspecting the evil that lurked beneath. His double life was his greatest deception. For 8 months that monster was free, stalking the night, leaving a trail of fear and heartbreak. The city slept, unaware that a predator walked among them, hidden behind the mask of an ordinary man. To understand the horror, you must glimpse Long's mind, a mind warped by pain, shame, and rage. His genetic condition and head injury made him feel like an outcast, but the violence was his choice. He was intelligent, but emotionally stunted, a dangerous mix. His victims were objects, props in his drama of power and revenge. The elaborate rituals, the bindings, the hours of terror, they were all about control. He lacked empathy, compartmentalizing his crimes, returning to normal life as if nothing happened. Ultimately, he chose to channel his pain into violence. He chose to become a predator. 8. As victims mounted, pressure on law enforcement soared. The killer was like smoke, hard to catch. Investigators built a profile white male, late 20s or 30s, driving a mid-sized car, possibly a Dodge. Survivors described a maroon Dodge Magnum, his voice, his methods. Forensic teams found red fibers on multiple victims, carpet fibers from a 1978 Dodge Magnum. This was the breakthrough. The rapist and the killer were the same man. Police began a massive search, checking every Dodge Magnum in the region. They mapped dumping grounds, analyzed knots, scrutinized every detail. The task force worked around the clock, knowing the killer could strike again at any moment. The trail was faint, but it was there. They just had to follow it before another life was lost. Behind the headlines were women, daughters, sisters, mothers, friends. Nguyen Thi Long, a hopeful 19-year-old immigrant, Michelle Sims, a vibrant former beauty queen, Virginia Johnson, Kim Swan, and more. Each name was a universe of potential, extinguished by senseless brutality. Their families pleaded for answers, their grief a public spectacle. Remembering these women is an act of defiance against the killer who tried to erase them. Chanel Williams, Karen Dinsmore, Elizabeth Loudenbach, Vicki Elliott, Lana Long. Their names are a solemn reminder of the human cost. Their stories are the true heart of this dark tale. 10. Amid the darkness, a ray of hope. Lisa McVeigh, 17, abducted by Long. For 26 hours she endured terror, but she fought back with her mind. Lisa stayed calm, observant, playing a psychological game to survive. She feigned sympathy, created a false connection, and gathered details. His car, his apartment, the bank he used. She left fingerprints, peeked from under her blindfold, memorized everything. Lisa was not a passive victim. She was a detective in her own kidnapping. After 26 hours, Long let her go. A fatal mistake. Lisa went straight to the police, providing a wealth of information. Her courage and intelligence were heroic. She was the key to ending the nightmare. Lisa's information ignited the investigation. The puzzle pieces fell into place. Her description of the Dodge Magnum and the ATM led police to Bobby Joe Long. Surveillance confirmed it. He was living his ordinary life, unaware the net was closing. On November 16, 1984, officers arrested Long as he left a movie theater. The search of his apartment and car revealed damning evidence: rope, fibers, ATM receipt. News of his capture spread. Relief swept Tampa Bay. The shadow had finally lifted. The meticulous work of investigators and Lisa's bravery ended the nightmare. Bobby Joe Long's trial revealed the full horror of his crimes. Survivors, including Lisa McVeigh, testified with strength and clarity. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Long pleaded guilty to multiple murders and assaults. In September 1985, he was sentenced to death. For the families, it was closure. Justice, though slow, was served. Long spent decades on death row. In May 2019, he was executed. The shadow over Tampa Bay was finally gone. This story is a testament to law enforcement, resilience, and the courage of survivors. The true legacy belongs to the women whose lives were shattered, and to those who found the strength to speak. In the end, the sun shone brighter over Tampa Bay, for justice had finally been delivered.